This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Recently at Adobe Max, they announced Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator running in the browser. I have access to the browser-based Photoshop, so we're gonna be demoing it today and seeing what it's all about. Welcome to another episode of Brad Under a Tripod. I'm Brad, and this is the tripod. And the tripod is pointed at a laptop. Specifically, this is the Surface Laptop Studio that I reviewed a few weeks ago. And I'm gonna be using this to look at Photoshop on the web. Now, it took me a little bit of time to find it. It's kind of hidden away, but it is available to most Adobe Creative Cloud customers. I have read that they are rolling it out, but most of the people I've talked to who have used it have already gotten access to it, so you might too. And if you're wondering how to get to this page, I will link that down below in the description. So I'm gonna go here to open Photoshop on the web beta. Now what this is gonna do is it's gonna open your Creative Cloud files, at least the ones that you've saved to the Creative Cloud library on the cloud. I said cloud too many times. But if you tap on any of these, it's going to bring up your illustration or whatever you were working on that was a PSD file. But if you tap on one of these, this is a Photoshop file. What it's going to do is it's going to open it up, and up here it's going to say open in Photoshop on the web beta. That's going to be one of your options. Now, different browsers are going to handle this a little bit differently. In Chrome and in Edge, you should be able to get this option. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on open in Photoshop on the web. It's going to give me like a little tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and continue. And what it's going to do is it's just going to open up that file right here inside the browser. Now, if you've had the chance to use Photoshop for the iPad, this is gonna look pretty familiar to you. It's a very similar interface with your tools laid out along the left-hand side, and then you have things like layers and settings and things like that over on the right-hand side. Now, one of the big features that Adobe was really pushing at Max this year are a lot of their collaboration features. This is something they've been slowly rolling out on their iPad apps and some of their other apps as you go, is just the ability to go in there and comment, invite other people into the file, allow them to comment and leave notes and things like that. And they're really building on that this year. Since I started using this, there's a couple things that I don't fully understand yet. Some files that I'm using, and it might be the file type or some layer styles that I'm using, don't work on the web. For example, it says open in desktop app is my option here. I can't actually come in here and edit this. I can't toggle off layers. I can't create new layers. I can just view it and comment on it. Other files I can go in and fully edit. Since I did create this file and I do have permissions for this file, I'm just going to assume it's something in here that the app doesn't support and not a permissions issue. But I'm going to go up to these three bars in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to go ahead and say new, and I'm just going to create a new file that I can play with from scratch. This looks really familiar, so we're going to go ahead and say create, and now I can do whatever I want. I can go ahead and I can create a new layer. I can play with all of my tools. And one thing you should know, this is a very scaled down version of Photoshop. It has many of the features that the iPad version has, which is like maybe 20% of full desktop Photoshop. One of the things Adobe talked about during Max was that Photoshop is a very resource intensive program to run. Not every computer can run it efficiently. Sorry, Surface Go, but if you could run it in the cloud, Adobe's doing the heavy lifting. But since this is the scaled down version of Photoshop, I don't really see the benefit of that necessarily. All right, next up, gonna do some drawing tests. But before I get to that, I do want to shout out to today's sponsor, Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Squarespace has the tools you need to get your business off the ground, including e-commerce templates, inventory management, a simple checkout process, and secure payments. Whatever you sell, Squarespace has the merchandising features that you need to make your products look their best online. All websites are optimized for mobile devices. Your content automatically adjusts so your site looks good anywhere. Grow and engage your audience with Squarespace's email campaigns. Create powerful email content that matches your website with your existing products, blog posts, and logo so your message is consistent and effective. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/BradColbo to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Now, one of the things I did want to test is I have the Surface Pen here, and I wanted to just play with the brushes and see how they worked compared to just using the native app. So I'm going to go here to my brushes, and it brings up my little bar up here at the top. It tells me my size and the type of brush I'm using. I'm going to actually go to the brush here, and I'm going to choose hard round. And if I just draw, There's a little bit of latency. Actually, there's a lot of latency, but the line itself actually looks fantastic. Let me go ahead and undo that. There's an option here for use pressure for size or use pressure for opacity. Let's go ahead and use pressure for size, and let's size up this brush a little bit. Now, one of the nice things that I like here is all of my hit points are really, really big. If you've ever used the Photoshop desktop app with a tablet like this, you'll know that it could be really hard to change your brush size and things like that. Since this is using a lot of the touch interface things from the iPad, it's really easy to use. So let me press lightly here. There we go. And then I'll apply more pressure. Yep. So there is a fair amount of lag. This isn't terrific. It does seem to take like a second or two to kind of know the pressure. So this isn't nearly as performant as, say, the native app, which I didn't expect it to be. Let's shrink this down. Let's start trying to play with some slower lines. I mean, the lines look really smooth, so that's good, but that probably has more to do with the device and the pen. I'm seeing some weird stuff happen at the end of lines. Let's speed these up. Yeah, so you could definitely come in here and use this. I wouldn't recommend it for drawing. Oh, you can't pinch and zoom. That is funny. It does some funky stuff when you try to pinch and zoom. Hold on a second. I have to, oh, I ruined everything. And I need to access my trackpad in order to zoom in and out. There we go. I got it working. I wanted to just get in here. So if you actually have access to your trackpad, that works pretty well. But what you can see happening here is you're not getting like a really nice tapered line at the end. Instead, what you're getting is you're getting a little bit of shoestringing effect on all of those lines. So there is some delay, and that's really the latency of going over the web to record these things. Now you may be wondering, what other brushes do they have? They have a handful of different brushes that are also pressure sensitive. Some of them are really cool. This is a really nice watercolor texture, actually. That's kind of beautiful. And so there aren't a ton of brushes to choose from, but the ones they do have are actually really nice. I just really wish there was a way here on the interface to zoom in and out. I also happen to have my iPad right here. Let me turn my screen down a little bit so it's easier to see. I could have sworn I was already logged in. Open Photoshop on the web. Let's see what happens. Cool, I am logged in. It does have the document that I was just drawing like a couple seconds ago in here. That's really one of the nice things about what Adobe's doing with their cloud software. The fact that the files are always saving and that they're syncing to the cloud is really nice. When I was coming up, one of the things every single designer or illustrator feared was forgetting to save your file and having the power go out and losing everything. The fact that the files are always saving and that they're syncing to the cloud is really nice. When I was coming up, one of the things every single designer or illustrator feared was forgetting to save your file and having the power go out and losing everything. Let me go ahead and tap on that file that we were just on. So this is Chrome on the iPad, and I was just curious to see if this worked. I tried this a little bit earlier. It doesn't. Instead, what it ends up doing is it says, hey, you can open this in Photoshop or Fresco. And what that's referring to is the Photoshop iPad app or the Fresco iPad app, which is like the drawing version of Photoshop for the iPad that came out a few years back. All right, so what do I think about this? I think this is cool. At the same time, I don't think this is something to really get excited about. What Adobe is really pushing hard right now is collaboration and incorporating all of those ways that you can collaborate with teams and other designers and project managers all together within the Adobe ecosystem. So I don't get the impression that this was really created for us creators to get really excited about working in a browser or getting a really efficient version of Photoshop or anything. I think the reason this was created is so more people can use the same account to log in via the browser and leave comments or make quick edits to Photoshop documents. It's not fancy, it's not robust, it's not something I would recommend drawing in. However, it does accomplish that goal. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.